Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is the Black Manga Critic. We are here. We are live. This is one of those random streams that I definitely did not plan days in advance or anything like that. It's more like, I just wanted to talk to people. It's a wonderful community. All the people that I've met have been awesome. Generally, good stuff, man. You know what I mean? I think like this just kind of popped into my head because I was, sometimes you think about like your own life and where you were and where you are, and how particular things really sort of like influenced how you got there. So just wanted to do a quick live stream, just talk with some people. If people are available, if people aren't available, it's a thing. Like it's whatever. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. But I think like I just wanted to tweet something out. Just wanted to talk to some people. If people come through, again, great. People don't come through, I'm not gonna drop dead because like people have lives and they're doing stuff. You know what I mean? That's not me. All right. Maybe that was me when I was like 16 or 17 and I had super, and I was shy and I didn't really talk to anybody and I go, you know what I mean? Like, no. But right now, like I'm good. So basically, I guess what this stream is going to be about is, just talking about anime, manga, how that's influenced me and how it's influenced you and everything like that. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes people either are like people downplay others when it comes to how anime and manga influence them, and sometimes people downplay their own sort of like experiences and how their own experiences with anime and manga and how that's influenced themselves. Like, I think I used to do that when I was a bit younger. I didn't really think about it much. I was just kind of like, I just like anime. I just like manga. I just want to read some stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I, approached it. But I think like, just like really thinking about it, really like figuring out sort of like my path, my trajectory, and the people that I like, the conversations that I'm in, the things that I talk about often, the stuff that I read, things that I write about, all that sort of stuff, right? Like the relationship that I'm in, all that stuff. Like I know for me, like without a shadow of a doubt, like anime and manga have like really, really influenced who I am right now. I'm trying to think of like where to start because I don't know. I mean, I've talked about this a little bit in earlier streams, like live streams that I've done, but I think this one's going to be a bit more like, that's what I'm looking for. Structured, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. Just like thinking about, from my sort of humble anime and manga beginnings to, to now. I remember. So I guess maybe I'll start with manga because I'll start with anime because that's what I started with. I think a lot of people started with anime. I don't know how many people started with manga and then shifted to anime. I mean, I know that's a thing. I know that's like a massive, massive thing, obviously. But I think like if I'm going to start with me, like I started with anime. I just like, I think the first anime that I ever watched was definitely like Dragon Ball Z. Not Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball Z, those are like different anime. Okay, anybody that tells you like Dragon Ball is just Dragon Ball Z is just Dragon Ball. It's more like no, they are totally different animes. They're very different stories. Okay, like they are. So don't. I don't want to hear that. But I think like I started with Dragon Ball Z, and I think that really influences. That really influenced me because I started with Dragon Ball Z, right? And I think what happened was, I'd get up and I'd see every Sunday, right? So I grew up in a very like Christian, super intense Christian household, Caribbean household, right? Grew up with Haitian parents, very Christian parents. We got to go to church every Sunday. And when we go to church every Sunday, we got to dress to the nines. We got nice shoes, nice pants, nice vest, nice blazer, nice shirt, haircuts would be as on point as it could be because like we were little, like my parents were broke, like we didn't have a lot of money to like get every kid like I had 5 brothers, so like we couldn't afford to like give everybody a phenomenal haircut or anything like that. So oftentimes I had no hairline, everything was all over the place. I was just you know what I mean. But basically, I think it was really, really important that I got introduced to that because my parents are like, what are you watching? They're like, why are you watching this stuff? Like, this stuff is super violent. This stuff is no. We are not, hey, what's going on, Gabby? You know? And they were like, no, like, why are you watching this stuff? This stuff is very violent, especially my mother. My mother would always, anytime we watched something that was like, had fighting or yelling or something that was really intense, you know, she'd be like, hey, what's going on? That stuff is so violent. Like, why are you watching that stuff? And we just kind of be like, I don't know. And then we would just kind of weather that like storm. And then we just kind of continue to watch what we were going to watch. Sometimes she really would just be like, I'm turning off the TV, especially when we were younger, right? And we didn't sort of have like any sort of like agency in terms of like deciding what we could watch and what we couldn't watch. So sometimes she'd just be like, I'm turning off the TV. You ain't watching that. And then other times we'd have to like, you know, wake up, like we have to wake up before they did. We have to change the channels, you know, all sneaky like, and watch some Dragon Ball Z, right? And I think at that point, what tended to happen, I think that was like the Ocean dub. I think that was like the old school like sort of dub. So what would happen? So what would happen? It was on like WB11 at the time. In the States, you know, just like the channel that like you generally saw Dragon Ball Z on every morning, and they would consistently replay the Saiyan saga and the and parts of the Namek saga. They never go as far as like final form Frieza or you know what I mean? It always sort of stay within like the parameters of like second form Frieza up and going back to like the beginnings of like Dragon Ball Z. That's what like we always watch. So my brothers and I, like we didn't have internet or nothing like that. We always watched that. That was like, and I think like just consistently seeing this, like I can recall like almost every line, the scenes, the way that they looked, the ways that my brothers and I the ways that my brothers and I responded to those scenes, the jokes, the laughter, the seriousness, and like, whoa, what's going on? And then the almost like consistent cutoff of watching the episode because we had to rush to church. Like I firmly believe that those cutoffs, like with our parents being like, yo, you got to go to church. You can't watch this right now. Like really, I was like, yo, like, you know, the correlation between you got to go to church and you can't watch anime. Like, I don't know about this religion thing. Like that, I think that's really important. Like I think about that a lot, actually. I'm like, well, why didn't I like sort of stay in this sort of Christian thing? Like, why wasn't I so like influenced? And I think a big part of it was that like there were things, right? Anime definitely included that I wasn't allowed to sort of like watch or look at or view or anything like that. Right. And, you know, church and like that sort of lifestyle was not about that life. They weren't about the anime life, right? They weren't about that. You know, God forbid, like I showed them any of the manga that I was reading when I was like, you know, 15, 14 or anything like that. Ooh, that would have been rough. You know what I mean? That would have been rough. So, so I think like it's like at the beginning, right? At my sort of core, like a big part of like, you know, watching anime and being in love with anime and everything like that. And I think in some ways like that, like some of my brothers kind of feel that way, but I think I felt that the most because I have brothers that are still very much so religious and they're still very much so Christian. And I'm just like, I ain't about that life. So I think that was really important for me. You know what I mean? They played the same arcs. Yo, it's amazing, crazy. They played the same arc over and over and over. You know what I mean? And I think like, you know, on one hand, it was like, you know, it kind of like enhanced that like desire to see the rest, right? On top of like the fact that like I kept getting cut off because, you know, my parents were like, we got to go to church. We got to catch a church van, you know, because we didn't have no car. So we didn't have money like that for car insurance or to buy the car. So it was just like, we got to catch a church van. When the church van comes, we got to go. So oftentimes, like, I just had like a deep-seated, like, as a kid, I had this like deep-seated like disdain for the church van. I was like, oh, the church van's here. I can't watch this anime. I can't watch the rest of the Dragon Ball Z episode. You know what I mean? So it was just like, oh. And I think like that was really big. That was a really big influence for me. So I think even then I was like, I'm not really feeling this church life, you know, this religion life. So I think that like anime was a big influence in terms of how I sort of interacted with religion and why I kind of just like sort of floated away from it. That doesn't mean that I never like, you know, read the Bible or enjoyed like stories within it or anything like that. Because I think like for me, like the way I sort of look at it is like, even now, like I think like there were definitely like biblical books that I really, really enjoyed. I can distinctly remember like reading Jane Eyre, which is one of my favorite novels of all time, by Charlotte Bronte. And like I remember Jane talking about her favorite books, and she was talking about those like real intense books. She was talking about like Genesis and Revelations and like, you know, the books with like the stuff and Exodus and all that stuff, like the books with the action. You know what I mean? And like that was me. Like I love that stuff. And like, you know, I still like enjoy those things as stories, as like particular like narratives and stuff like that. But I'm not about that life. But what I will, well, I guess like to sort of end that, I really, really, truly believe that like anime was like a sort of space to kind of like, I don't want to call it rebellion because I don't think it was like that serious, but maybe it was. Maybe that I think that was something that I was trying to do, that I was trying to rebel against like my super like, you know, ultra Christian parents who all about like, we got to go to church every Sunday, we got to, you know, mingle with the people at the church, we got to do we got to do all the stuff. So I think in a lot of ways like Dragon Ball Z was really important for me. I'm not necessarily sure about my brothers necessarily, but I think for me it was really important as something that I could say like, yo, on Sundays weren't all about church. Sundays weren't all about religion. Sundays weren't all about praying, you know, in the mornings and everything like that. Sundays were about, like for me, Sundays were about, I get to watch Dragon Ball Z. You know what I mean? Because we didn't have cable. So it was like, that was a channel. If I wanted to watch anime, I had to either watch Fox 5 or I had to watch WB11. Like that's what I had to watch, right? So during the weekdays, it was like, we got to go there, you know, and Saturdays, it was like, yo, we got to go to WB11 for some of the stuff. When it was Sundays, it was like, yo, we got to go to, yeah, right? Like when it was Saturdays, it was like, we got to go to Fox 5 for a lot of stuff, you know, and maybe WB11 for some stuff like later on. But like earlier on, it was like, we got to go to WB11 on Sundays for that stuff. Sometimes, and also sometimes like some of the, like Telemundo and like channels like that would also air Dragon Ball Z on Saturdays, and like that was when I was a little bit older, and we still didn't have cable. But like that was also really important because it was like it opened my mind to the idea that like one, not only did like Americans right, the people like by English, like that Americans right were viewing this stuff, but like people in other countries were viewing this stuff. And the quality was like honestly like a lot better. They were like viewing like the original you know, Japanese, like just undoctored, like versions of Dragon Ball Z. And it was beautiful. It was like beautiful to watch. It was just different. You know, it wasn't edited or anything like that. It was like, let's go. But you know, it was in Spanish. But my brothers and I still watch it, and we like picked up some Spanish because of that. You know, we were like, yo, like this is really dope. This is cool. So again, I think that even those little things, like when, like you don't necessarily realize how much it sort of influenced you until like later on when you think about it. But even now, it's like, yo, like I learned a lot just by like, you know, watching just by watching Dragon Ball Z, and I made particular decisions, I think, subconsciously, just by like making the like conscious decision to say I'm gonna watch Dragon Ball Z because I really love this anime and I really love watching it and da 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 da. And it was something that like connected my brothers and I, you know what I mean? Like that kind of connected my brothers and me, you know what I mean? So important stuff, man, important stuff. Shugama, what's going on? But yeah, and like if I really sort of want to think about you know, sort of like manga and just kind of like my first sort of introduction to manga. My first introduction to manga was really important, and I think about it now like a lot too. I think about it a lot because like I didn't really realize it when I was younger, because it took me a while. Like it took me a long time to really come to like, you know, the realization that like you know, that I like men and women, romantic, right? Like sexually, romantically, whatever you want to call it, right? So I had a friend, this was like the 8th grade. This is like the 8th grade. I distinctly remember like those days and reading that manga. It was like I can't remember what it was, like a Pokemon manga. I hadn't even like conceptualized it. Like it was it might have even been more mind blowing than watching Dragon Ball Z, because I adore reading, I adore text, I adore books, I adore words, like all that stuff, right? Like I for a long time I wrote poetry. I want to get back into it because like I just have not the time, work, stuff like that. You know, it's hard to sort of sit down, and I'm more of like an impulsive sort of poet. So like, you know, it's tough for me to be like, okay, every day, you know, I'm gonna write a poem, blah, blah, blah. That's not me. It's more so like, okay, here's like this idea that I have, and now I gotta like really work it and write it down. But that's not the here nor there. Basically, I love words, I love reading, I love books. If you look at my sort of life, you can tell you can tell that, and my like life trajectory and who I, you know, people that I talk to, people that I love, people that you could tell. But the 8th grade, and it was gym class, and this is when I was like, you know, I was like studious. Like I was probably at my most studious in the K through 12 system, like 8th grade, 7th grade, but more so 8th grade. 8th grade, I was like on my stuff, man. I was in it. My best friend was like super studious as well. We would compete. You know what I mean? Like my best friend Eric, shouts out to Eric. You know, I haven't talked to in like years, but still, shouts out to Eric. And like, I had another friend, Jordan, and Jordan was very much so gay, but it was very clear that he couldn't come out because it was like one Jordan was a white kid. Jordan was a white kid in a predominantly in a school that like predominantly that was predominantly made up of people of color, right? Dark-skinned people of color. Like that was like, so I mean, he had it coming from like, you know what I mean? Like there was like really no way that he could just be like, yo, I'm gay, I'm proud, this is who I am. Like not that there was no way, but it was like that like people would not allow that. You know what I mean? And it's really important that I phrase it that way, right? Because it's not like there was no way that he could do it. It's like it's more that like people would not allow him to come out. And it was very clear. And there was another kid, this kid DeAndre. He was also like clearly, like it was very clear, you know, he wanted to be as out as possible, but he could not be because the space just would not, like it was not a safe space for them, for those two. Jordan was one of my best friends in like the 8th grade. Like Jordan was awesome. Jordan, and the reason why I talk about this is because Jordan was the guy who introduced me to a whole bunch of things that were really, really important to me, that are still kind of really, really important to me in terms of how I view myself, my identity, everything like that, my love of certain things, video games, card games, board games, manga, you know what I mean, books, you know, like really, really important. I think like I remember sitting in gym class. And it was like I can distinctly remember the blue bleachers. That like we would always sit on the top bleachers. Like Jordan, me, maybe one or two other people, and it was just always just kind of like us four because like we almost never got dressed for gym. We were not into gym class. In the 8th grade, I was not into gym class. In the gym, I was like nah. Nah. I'll definitely check out the space opera. I love space opera so much. Space opera is on my adore space opera. Before I left my my doctorate program, I really wanted to do like I was trying to like get to work on like you know, sort of like conceptualizing a dissertation that would revolve around the space opera and comics and stuff like that. But that didn't happen because like I could do that, you know, I could do that on my own time, not the dissertation, but just like that work. You know what I mean? I can read space operas, write about it, do that stuff. I can do that on my own time, like when I so decide to. But back to the sort of story, like basically what would happen was we would almost every day in gym class, Jordan would like sort of just come through. We talk about stuff like at that time, Yu-Gi-Oh had like come out in America and as like a card game, and that was huge, right? So like, you know, sometimes you know he'd like have the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you'd be like, hi, the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I would just be in awe because like I had no money to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards. My parents certainly they weren't gonna give me money to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but they were like, because they were like, yo, that stuff's like Satan, yo. No. So basically what happened was he introduced me to this Pokemon Pokemon manga. And I was like, what's that? Like he was like, yo, it's manga. He's like, it's manga. And I was like, manga? Like, what is that? Like, and it was wild. Like, it was wild. And I remember reading it and I was like, this is the best thing that I've ever read in my entire life. Like, legit. Like I remember thinking that. I remember thinking, like, this is the best thing that I have read, that I've ever read in my entire life. Like, I was hooked. And to say I was hooked was like, is really an understatement. It was like drugs. Every day I would come back. I remember, like, I had other friends, they come through, they'd have like, they have like, you know, remember when you were back in like grade school and your friends would come through with printouts of like Dragon Ball Z characters. They come through with printouts of like Goku with the Halo and the Super Saiyan 3 form and all this other, like, you know, super intense, like, pictures of like Dragon Ball Z characters and stuff like that. And I was like, yo, that's so dope. But once I got introduced to, once Jordan introduced me to manga, I was like, I did not care about them damn pictures. I'm sorry, guys. Like, these pictures, you know, they cool, but manga is where it's at. So every day he'd bring in the Pokemon manga, and I'm like, Jordan, you have to bring in that Pokemon manga like every day until I finish reading it. And I did, and I remember I think it was like a Sylph Corporation volume, and the character was like there, and it was like so cool. I remember reading that like, wow, this is incredible, and it was awesome. It was just different. It was like everything that I wanted out of Pokemon. Like, everything that I wanted out of Pokemon was in that like volume, and I just kept reading. And then, you know, I read that, and then I remember Jordan. And then after those like sort of like a few Pokemon volumes, he brings that in. Then he brought in the Yu-Gi-Oh volume. That was it. Like, I mean, it was it with the Pokemon manga, but like the Yu-Gi-Oh volumes though, oh my god. That was it for me, man. Like, I was like, manga is incredible. Incredible. Like, I was like, because I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh. I was, you know, right at that time, right? Yu-Gi-Oh was huge. I am 29, going on 30, and at the time, Yu-Gi-Oh was massive. It was on, you know, Kids WB. Kids WB was still a thing. Saturday morning cartoons. Every Saturday, my brothers and I would watch Yu-Gi-Oh. We adored Yu-Gi-Oh. We would like make, like, before we realized that Yu-Gi-Oh, the Yu-Gi-Oh trading cards were a thing, we would like be at home on Saturdays, like cutting out loose leaf paper, drawing Yu-Gi-Oh cards on loose leaf paper, and then cutting out the cards out of the loose leaf paper, and then playing Yu-Gi-Oh with those loose leaf paper cards. Like, we had no money, man. Like, that's what you gotta understand. Like, it's like when you don't have that, when you're not about that just basic like middle class, lower middle class life, you do what you got, you do what you do. So that's what we did. Like, we did that, and it was awesome. We had a blast. And we would like, you know, save sort of like cereal boxes, and we like cut out the cereal boxes, and then we put the loose leaf like on top of the cereal boxes, so the cards like felt like solid. You know what I mean? We were doing all that stuff. Like, it was incredible. But like, when I got introduced to the Yu-Gi-Oh manga, yo. I mean, it was so different. I remember thinking like, because I was so confused, right? And like, like, I think a lot of people felt this way when you watched Yu-Gi-Oh on Kids WB. You were like, what's going on here? Like, how come these guys don't realize that like he's transforming right now? Like, you were so confused about how the anime was sort of structured and why characters seemed so ridiculously like oblivious to things, except for Taya, because Taya was like, eventually Taya figured it out, right? She was like, yo, like, somehow Yugi feels different. Like, what's going on here? Like, you know, but the manga was just like, yo, it was so real. Yugi was cool. Atem was incredible. The ways that the games were played were incredible. I mean, I just like, I loved reading the manga. Like, it was awesome. And like, Jordan would bring it every day. Again, that was my guy. That was my guy in 8th grade. Like, that was one of my guys in 8th grade, because like, he was so himself. And that's important. I think like, when you're young, right? When you're going through the K through 12 system, And I'm talking about America, right? And I'm sure like other countries have like differing systems and similar systems. They just call them differently, right? It's like sometimes like in like UK they might have like forms or something like that. I don't know if that's still a thing. Might be an old school thing. I'm not sure, right? Like primary education or whatever you want to call it. But like it's really really important that you have people who are into, right, and people your age, obviously, right? Like you don't want to, you're not trying to mess with no like weird, like like nasty pedophiles and stuff like that. No. If there's an adult that's like being like, hey, like that's like, hey, like you want to play cards like alone, like no. That nah, right? Nah. But like it's really important that you that you meet people that are your age, very very close to your age, right? Like maybe a year apart or something like that. Right, that are themselves 24/7. Even if you don't have the confidence to do that at that age, it's important that you see it. And it was really important to me that I saw it because like he was like into anime, he was into manga. He read, like he was in it, man. He was in it. He played Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like he was really into the Yu-Gi-Oh card scene. Like it was really important to me that I saw that. Really important to me that I saw that. And it helped me like, because it helped me sort of say like, hey, you know what? Like, because I was really into chess when I was a kid. I was really into chess when I was a kid. And him playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And like getting into all that stuff, that was really important. Like that was really important for me. Because like when I saw that he was so into the stuff that he was into and he had no shame in that, he was like, yo, I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm playing my stuff. Right, like that he was a white boy in this predominantly black school. It was predominantly black, like black kids, and like but he was himself 24/7, and he was a gay white kid. And I was like, yo, like I don't think like the people don't understand that like how inspirational that is. And it impacted me because I was really into chess, but I was like, I don't know if I want to join a chess club. Like that's gonna be, I don't know how that's gonna look. Even though I loved chess, I loved chess when I was a kid. I still do, but like I don't play it nearly as much because of time, and YouTube and work and all that other stuff, relationship. You know what I mean? Like I don't have the time like that. But I'm still pretty good. But it's just like I joined my chess club, my school's chess club. Because of that, because I saw him, he was in it. He wanted to play. He wanted to do everything that he wanted to do, and a lot of that comes from like his love of anime, his love of manga, his desire to be like, I'm gonna be myself, regardless of this setting that I'm in. And I joined my chess club, and I had like 8th grade was one of the best years of my life. Honestly, I still think fondly on like some people like middle school was like the worst, and like high school was like great for them, but like for me, it was like middle school, like 8th grade in particular, was like awesome. And high school was like a blur. Like high school, but I think that was really important for me. It's really important for me to like get into all that stuff, to have Jordan there, to watch him be who he was, for him to be my friend. I mean, man, like I'm just like thinking about it in like the tears, yo, like the tears. You know what I mean? He was really important to me. And I think like when I think about like, sort of moving forward, again, anime and manga, right? Like they also brought like my brothers and I, like we were close because of that. I remember when we were first introduced to Naruto. I didn't really have a clue what like Naruto was. Like I didn't know what Naruto was. Like I didn't know what Naruto was. My little brothers had a friend who was really like he was like one of them dudes. Like he was like in it. He was in it in a similar way that like Jordan was in it, but not in the same way, because like that was like 8th grade. But like I'm talking about like when I like first started high school. Like I was like 14 at the time, I want to say, and like. I mean, this my brother, like two of my brothers, three of my brothers, like they were super close, super tight. And one of my brothers, his best friend was really into that stuff heavy, and his friends were into that stuff heavy. But they were into manga and anime and stuff like that, real heavy, and video games, right? Like import video games, like real heavy. So basically, what happened was I was just into I was like, yo, this Dragon Ball stuff is cool. Like Dragon Ball Z is really cool. It's tight. Da, da, da. I was just watching stuff that was on Kids WB, so Yu-Gi-Oh, certain things like that, right? Shaman King was on like Fox 5, so I could watch certain things, but I wasn't introduced to Naruto until they were like, yo, you gotta watch this. You gotta like watch Naruto, yo. You don't know what you're missing. You gotta get into Naruto. So they introduced me to Naruto, and like they would like download we had like a sort of P2P like service or whatever, like one of those things that you download where you download like illegally pirate stuff. And basically, like, we download just episodes of Naruto or even clips of Naruto. Like it'd be like part 1 or 2, part 2 or 2, whatever. And we just download them, right? And then eventually we got a computer in our home. We didn't get a computer in our home until I was in like my second year, my sophomore year of high school. Like before that, it was like we didn't have and we still didn't have cable. But we finally got a PC in our home. So and it was on dial-up. It was dial-up. And then we switched to broadband eventually. But basically, they introduced me to Naruto, and I was like, yo, Naruto is so dope. I was like, and I think this is important because this is not to say that, right, like other shows like Shaman King, Yu-Gi-Oh, shows that were shown on Fox 5 and Kids WB, right? It was not to say that they didn't show friendship or anything like that, right? Like homosocial friendship or anything like that, right? But I think Naruto was particularly important because the Naruto that I was watching was it was subbed, right? Like it was fan subs. They didn't edit out the Naruto Sasuke kiss. They didn't edit that out. You saw that. It was you know what I mean? It was really important for me to see that. And I think it was really important for my brothers to see certain things because I think that made them a little bit more open to certain ideas of friendship, ideas of sexuality, ideas of stuff like that. For me, it was really important. Naruto did some things that I was like, yo, they ain't doing this stuff in Shaman King, they ain't doing this stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh! At least the Kids WB and Fox 5 versions, right? They weren't doing this stuff over there. And I mean, they weren't doing that stuff over there. So for me, to see Naruto and Sasuke, to see Naruto crave friendship in a way that was so relatable. You know what I mean? That was next level. Because right with Shaman King, with Yu-Gi-Oh, when I was watching those two things, it was they were already a unit. They were already friends. They had that was set up from the beginning, right? And right, you know what I mean? So when you and I mean Shaman King, I mean it was a little different because Yo wasn't I need friends. Yo was just chill. Yo was the chillest dude I ever saw I ever seen in my life. I wish that I was as chill as Yo when I was a kid. I wished when I was 16. I was Yo was way too chill. Yo was way too copacetic about stuff. And Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yugi had a unit. Yugi had friends already established, right? I mean in the manga it's different because it's he's really trying to befriend people. He's he has issues. He just wants friends, right? And that's one of his wishes. One of his wishes is I go yo, I need a friend. And the Naruto went through that sort of similar things that I was going through. I was I just want a best friend because when I was going through high school, middle school, I had a best friend. Eric was my best friend. But when I shifted to a high school, he went to a different high school. So I was living in Hollis, Queens, and he was living he had moved to Flushing a little bit later after we graduated from middle school, and he moved to Flushing, and it was my parents would not let me travel alone on a bus or anything like that unless I was going to school, right? If I wasn't going to school, they they were nah, you better come home. So when that happened, that really kind of put a rift in our friendship. to this day, I'm like, man, like it's still like, it's, it hurt. And I didn't know how to deal with that. And high school was rough because it was like, everyone seemed to have like that best friend. Everyone seemed to have like someone that they could like, rely on and everything like that. And I didn't have that. So that was really, really hard for me. And I'm still like a very, like, I think I'm a very like sensitive person. So imagine being like, starting high school, I was like, the sense that like being sensitive and being like particularly like emotional in a great way, right? In a good way. I'm not talking about like, oh, this guy's so emotional, this guy's sensitive. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like, being empathetic, being open about like certain things. That was extremely like it affected me. Like it was hard. So I think like being able to like see Naruto go through similar things and it'd be like, yo, like fight so hard for friends. That's like a really important thing. I think people really downplay that stuff. And that's why, like, for me, like, there's criticism, and then there's just straight up just being like, oh, that's whack, like, that's terrible, like, that's corny, da-da-da-da, like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, especially when it comes to, like, shows like that. Naruto, I think some people understand that Naruto is important to people, but I don't think they necessarily understand how, well, like why it's important to certain people. Right? Like for me, Naruto was huge for me. One, because it allowed me to like connect with my brothers at a different level, right? Because they also loved anime and they loved that stuff. It allowed me to like connect with them, to, connect with their friends, certain things like that. But like when it comes to like friendship, that was huge for me. I was like, Naruto's fighting so hard for friendship, yo. Like every single battle that happens with Naruto is always about bonds. It's always about bonds. It's always about friendship. Like that's huge. Like that was huge for me. I was like, yo, you could do that. You could like really fight that hard for like friendship. I didn't know that. And like and I also thought that it was like it's okay to be like that like amped and that and to find friendship to be like that important. I was like, yo, like that was it for me. I fell in love with Naruto, and it was cool. And like that's why like the Naruto Sasuke fight, I think a lot of people were like, Naruto is just like immature, and I'm like, yeah, if you're looking at it from like the perspective of like criticism, like yeah, you can make particular critiques, but I think that like people don't understand, like, yo, kids are really intense. Kids value friendship in a way that like I think as an adult, sometimes you might be able to understand if you're empathetic, and if you're not, then it's really difficult for you to get that because maybe you've forgotten how intense your feelings were and how like you're in hormones and all that stuff, and how much you valued that, how much you valued connection, like that Naruto versus Sasuke fight, like that, not the initial one at the top of the hospital, but like when like Naruto's chasing after Sasuke and he's like, yo, I just want my friend to stay here. That is so important, yo. That was so important to me. I was like, Naruto, you better get this man Sasuke back to the village. My heart was with Naruto. My heart was really, really, really with Naruto. Like in a way that like I think a lot of people don't get, and a lot of kids might not have gotten because they already had those friendship units. They already had best friends. They already had particular things. They didn't necessarily have to worry that like their best friend was gonna go do something, go do another thing or whatever. Like they were like, yo, my best friend's got like here. My best friend's riding the dime with me. I got this. I didn't have that. So that battle, I was like, you Naruto, you better. When he was like, I'm gonna break every bone in your body if it means like you're gonna stay. I was like, yo, that's how intensely I felt. Like I was like, I just want friends. Like I just want best friends. I just want best friends. Please, please. I wasn't even like, and at that point I was like, I didn't really like believe in God or anything like that. And I was like praying. I was like, God, please. I know I've been messing with you, God. I know I've been, but please, I need a best friend. Like it's important. It was important. So for me, Naruto was important, but also like it also sort of made me realize that like, friendship is like a really complex and thing, and the definitions of friends, like that's different. Like I have my brothers, like my brothers are like my best friends. I talk with them all the time. Like I hung out with them all the time because we weren't really allowed to like go and hang out and have like, do particular things. So like we were really close. We were really tight. And you know, it was cool. So we had that. Like not only were my brothers my best friends, but like we had, you know, we had anime, we had like manga, we had certain things. And Naruto was like the first manga that I started following weekly. Like Naruto was the first manga that I started following weekly. Like I think for some people that was probably that might have been One Piece, or maybe they followed Naruto and One Piece at the same time. But for me, it was Naruto. I followed, like, it was the only one that I was following. I was only following Naruto, and then once we started like sort of saying like, hey, like, you know, let's check out some other anime, and then we would check out other anime, and then once we caught up to the anime like Bleach, stuff like that, then we sort of say, yo, you want to read that manga chapter? Because like we were so like, yo, we can't read the manga. We got to know what happens in anime. The anime's got to be fresh. We were really big on that. Like even like one of my younger brothers was like, yo, he was really big on not reading the One Piece manga because he was like, I gotta watch the anime. I gotta watch every episode. I want to know what happens. It's gonna ruin the anime for me. And then I think he started reading the manga after like no, he started reading the manga a bit after right after the Don Chinjao, like after like the sort of Don Chinjao sort of episode. That's when he was like, I'm going. You know? Yeah, you had to, oh man, you had to wait for like, if, you know, whatever like site you were using, you were like, oh my goodness. Some sites were really good about it, and some sites were just like, whoa. And some sites were just terrible. I think like when I started reading manga on sites, the first site I used was like it was like a random like manga site, but like but it was very clear that like it was using like manga stream scanlations, and at that time manga stream was a manga stream. I think it was like Binktopia or something like that. And like so we were using well no we weren't using that. We were using like, it was like two different. Sometimes it'd be Manga Panda, and sometimes it would be Binktopia, aka Manga Stream. So like it would switch, and you could tell like, and both the translations were bad because it was like Manga Stream. You know, Manga Stream is all about swearing, and they're adding all the stuff, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And Manga Panda just like mistranslates things in like the most like egregious, like ridiculous ways possible. So we would do that, and like that was really important because it was like it gave us like stuff to talk about. We could be like, yo, what do you think's happening in the next chapter? Yo, what's going on in the next, like, what's going on here? And we'd have arguments about characters and everything like that. You know, so it was, you know, that and that was like a real collected entry into Weekly Shonen Jump. I didn't know, I knew about Weekly Shonen Jump in a general sense because I was reading the Yu-Gi-Oh manga and stuff like that. So I had an idea of like what Weekly Shonen Jump was, because like you read the manga, then you go to the back pages, and you'd be like, oh, Weekly Shonen Jump, what's that? You know, and then like, you know, they'd like advertise the manga. I think, also like, I remember I didn't realize that I had been introduced to Hikaru no Go prior to watching Hikaru no Go. Because like, you know, sometimes the Yu-Gi-Oh chapters would advertise Hikaru no Go in their in the manga. And I was like, oh, what's this? Like, this seems like, this is a little weird, but really, really cool stuff. So I think like, again, like that, like manga anime were really important in my early life, just because it brought my brothers and I closer. It brought my brothers and me closer together. It really instilled like that it was okay to value friendship, to strongly value friendship. Right? There's like, oh, we friends, no whatever, but like, yo, it really, really, really helped me to be like, yo, like it's okay to love your friends. That was really important. Like it's like for people to be like, yo, it's okay to love your friends. It's okay to cherish your friends, to cry for your friends, to hurt for your friends, to do all those things, like to be emotional around your friends. Like Naruto was huge for that, right? Because like one reason why why Sasuke bothered me was because it was like, Sasuke, look at these friends you have. Like these friends like cry for you. They will ride or die for you. Like they're right there, yo. But I understood, like I understood certain things. Like I got it, but it was also like Naruto, his heart's breaking. You know, Sakura, her heart's breaking. But more so Naruto, because like for that it was like friendship, but it was like a really intense friendship, like a really intense homosocial friendship. And it's important. It was important for me. So I think like it really, in some ways, right? Like in some ways it modeled like how important friendship, how important like it was to maintain particular friendships. And like that's why like I have friends. I have two of my best friends I've known for 12 years now, and like I mean, they were never not gonna be friends, you know, unless they do something that's like, you know, nah. But so far, like, you know, I mean, they were there. Like I remember, so funny story. How I met my friends, like, you know, they weren't into like anime and manga in the same way that I was, but they were into it enough. But I'm like, and like I met these two. Both at my high school, but like I wasn't really like super close friends with them. One I knew a little bit. I knew like sophomore year, but we only had like the one class together. But like, the other one was a boyfriend of a friend that I had made senior year. That I had liked, right? That I had liked, you know, like romantic. I was like, oh, like she's, you know, she was cute, like she was cool, she was funny, she was into like certain things, like into like reading poetry, stuff like that. So I was like, oh, she's cool. And like they had broken up, and so I was like, I ain't trying to talk to this guy. Like one, because like, why would you break up with her? You know, so that's how I was sort of thinking about it. And then that didn't work out because she was still very like clearly in love with him. And once I sort of understood that, I was like, you know, first I was like angry. I was like, man, I did the whole toxic masculinity thing. It was really bad, y'all. I still like feel tons of shame about that. And I think, you know, generally, like, you know, you should, like, if you do the toxic masculinity thing, you should still feel shame about those things. But like, I think what was really interesting though was what happened is I went to summer school. So I went to summer school for gym, y'all. Like I told you, gym was not my thing. They kept trying to put me. They kept trying to put me in basketball. I loved watching basketball, but I was terrible at basketball. I just did not play basketball. But I loved playing soccer. I loved playing football. You know, and so like when they put me in a football class, like for senior year, for the last term, then I was like, you know, I love gym. But before that, I was like, I needed to make up a gym credit. So I had already gone to night school for a gym class, so I can make one gym credit, right? So I can make one gym class credit, and then I still had to go to summer school for another gym class credit. So I was terrible. Like, we went to summer, so I went to summer school, and then like that's where then I met them there. So I had kind of already known Michelle because like we had sort of talked in one class, in an earth science class, sophomore year, and my friend Ricardo, like, I knew him because he was the boyfriend of my friend, right? Like, and then she was not my friend. Like, so we got over it. We were friends. It was cool. You know what I mean? Like, I was not interested in her like that anymore or anything like that. I got over it, right? Like, I was like, I gotta get over this because I can't be like this ridiculous. So I got over it. You know, I was too cool. I was chill. And I met Ricardo in summer school, and you know, now I don't even talk to this girl at all anymore. I don't necessarily know what she's doing, whatever. You know, good luck to her. Hopefully she's healthy and well and everything like that. But Ricardo and Shaw, like, they were my friends, you know, like, and they're still my friends, and they're still like, we were still really close. You know what I mean? Important stuff. And like, for me, like, again, manga and anime were really, really important in saying like, yo, these guys are my friends. They want to hang out. They want to make jokes. They want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, they would invite me over to their houses. I met their parents. Like, this is something that I didn't really have a lot of growing up, going to other people's houses, you know, going to other people's, like, you know, for dinner, for lunch, you know, saying, hey, we're going to head out, hang out, and then go back to your place, you know, to do whatever. You know, that was huge for me. I think I only had like really like 2 friends that I ever did that with throughout my K through 12 education. One of my friends, Brian's, who was Peruvian, and my friend Eric in middle school. You know, so like, you know, and Brian's was my like sort of fifth grade and sixth grade like best friend. Like Eric was like my seventh, eighth grade best friend, and like that's when I had it. But even then, it was like sparse. Like it was like, hey, you know, maybe twice a year you can go over to this person's house, like for whatever, if you're doing great stuff. You know, so it was very different. So when I was out of high school, it was like, yo, I have friends. Like I know how important friends are because I watched Naruto. I watched these, like I read these manga, I read these manga, like I saw this stuff. I know how important friendship is. So I made sure, I was like, yo, like if they need me for something, if they want to do something, if you want, like I was always available. I was always ready. I was always willing to do that stuff. And even now, I think like it's still important. Friendship is huge. Friendship is really important, y'all. A lot of people will tell you like, you know, oh, it's like you'll find new friends and nope. The older you get, the harder it is to maintain, to find and maintain friendships, right? It's extremely difficult to maintain those friendships in a like substantial way, right? Because you can have like acquaintances. I always say this, like you can have acquaintances, you can have friends, you can have like friends, like friendships, like acquaintances are like people that like, you know, maybe on Facebook, you know, you like one of their posts, maybe you comment on the post every now and then like whatever. Friends are like people that you're like, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? Let's hang out, like, you know, or whatever. You know, like you actually want to say, hey, let's hang out. Let's go outside, or you can come over, or I'll come over, whatever. Like, let's hang out. Let's all do a thing. Like those are friendships, man. When you go out of your way to say, hey, like, how are you? Let's catch up. Let's see what's going on. And you do that fairly frequently, right? There's a difference. But sort of back to like manga and anime. And I think like right at that point, you know, I was reading a lot of like shonen manga. I was reading tons of shonen manga. That's all I was reading. I really wasn't reading anything different, you know, other than like shonen manga and stuff like that. So, you know, I think I had to make and I think I realized like because like I was in a place where I was like I started reading different books. Like I was dating someone. At this point I was like 20, I want to say, and like I was dating someone and you know she loved like romance novels and stuff like that. And I was reading like a lot of like Victorian literature and everything like that. And like it's different. You know what I mean? Like it's just different. You know, like you can tell, right? It's like certain dudes love dudes that are not as much of a problem love like the Victorian novels and literature that are written by women, and the dudes that are problems love the stuff that's written by the guy, by the Victorian male authors. They love that stuff. They talk to you all day about Thomas Hardy and you know the trash Charles Dickens novels and who else? Who else is like James? You know, no, James was just a modernist, but who else? You know, and like not just Victorian English, right? But like Russian novels, Dostoevsky and Tolstoy. Like they'll talk to you all day about that stuff, but they will be like, yo, Charlotte Bronte wasn't that great. Emily Bronte wasn't that great. Georgia Eliot wasn't that great, right? Like certain novels by Georgia Eliot, right? Those aren't that great, you know. And right, and like all day. So for me, like I was making a concerted effort to read Victorian novels written by a woman, like because they were better. I enjoyed them more. There was a bit of like ways like that they talked about emoting and love and friendship and family and certain things like that, and depression and loneliness and all those things. And they did like the Victorian Victorian women in the office, like they just did it in a way that I really loved and I still love. And you know, I was reading a lot of that stuff, and she was reading a lot of romance novels. So she kind of got me to like into like romance novels, and I started reading a lot of that stuff. But I was still reading a lot of like manga that was like men. You know, even though like that stuff still like, even though shonen manga, like right, Battle shonen manga still has a lot of great stuff, there's still a lot of problematic stuff that's like embedded in it. So once I really realized, started to realize that, I was like, I gotta read some different stuff. I gotta branch out. You know, so then it was like, oh, let me go check out a little bit of, you know, Cardcaptor Sakura here. Let me go check out a little bit of Nana here. Let me go check out a lot of other stuff here. Let me go do all this stuff here. And like, and that was really great because it sort of like really like opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. So I think probably, and again, like I've said this before, but like probably one of, and those things are great too. But I think like, again, what really helped me was, again, reading manga that wasn't battle shonen, right? Or at least not in the super like conceptual sort of way that like battle shonen tend to work, right? So like, again, Piano no Mori is like such a unknown when it comes to American readers, right? Such an unknown, and partly because it's not, it wasn't officially like translated or anything like that. But I adored it. It's still my favorite manga of all time to this day. It's gonna be animated, I believe, and I think it's gonna come out in like April or something like that. So I am looking forward to all of the hype that's going to bring, because I adore it. And I think it was important because it showcased homosocial like relationships in a way that had like queer sort of elements, right? In the best way. Like in Ichinose Kai is a character, or Kai Ichinose is like a character that I adore so much. And again, he was one of those characters that was really important for me, because it was like, right at that point, I had suspicions, right? I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not straight. But it was, I was kind of working through that. I was trying to figure that stuff out. Luckily, I had friends that like, I met in college, and even now, and like, but they helped me so much. Like my two of my friends, one of my friends, Cass, was working through her own sexuality, and as she was dating another one of my close friends, Taz, who was working through his sexuality, and like they were dating each other as they were working through it. It was like, wow. And then and I think what I loved about that was like, it was like they allowed me to have like a space where, where I could talk about the stuff that I was working through, and they could talk about the stuff that they were working through. And I think they suspected, because when I would have conversations, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, like, I try to like, rationalize the feelings that I was having, but it was like, yo, like I definitely like men. I definitely like women. Like I like people that I'm attracted to, sexually. Like this is a thing. So, but back to Piano no Mori. Piano no Mori was also really important because it was like, Kai was not he was the protagonist, and he was sensitive, and he was sweet, and he was nice, and he valued friendships, and he was he's a brilliant piano player, and like he's just a great person, and he grew up poor. Right. And like, it was like, man, like it was like, he was almost like a role model for me at that point. Because it was like, it's like, for me, it was like, I loved English, I loved writing, I loved reading. And it was cool because it was like, hey, you can have talent, you can like be great at something and work at it, and you can still be a good person. You can work to get to be a good person. Yeah, I'm gonna stream Yona tonight. So look out for that, definitely. All right, Shugam, I'll see you later. Kai, and the fact that like there is a point in the manga where like Kai basically has to work sort of like work his way through like the school, this like sort of like school or whatever. And while right, and sort of play the piano without people sort of like recognizing who he is. So Kai like basically works as Kai basically like does like drag to work at this sort of like saloon or something like that, or whatever you want to call it, like bar, whatever you want to call it. And it's so great because Kai is just like, this is what I'm doing. There's like Kai does not have any reservations about it. He's not like, I don't know, like he's just like, this is what I'm going to do. This is fine. This is totally normal. This is cool. And like my heart, like this is why again, I have like pieces of my heart that just belong to certain things. Like a piece of my heart like is always going to belong to my fiance. A piece of my heart is always going to fall you know, like is always going to like belong to like Emma from The Promised Neverland. A piece of my heart is always going to belong to like Kai from Piano no Mori. Like that was so important for me because it was like, it's okay. These is like it like you can feel particular things and like and be someone, and that's completely fine and that's normal, you know. And it was like that was big for me. That was big for me to read a manga that did that in such a like really impactful way, but also kind of not, like it was like impactful, but also nonchalant because it was like, this is what I'm doing. Kai was just like, yo, this is what I'm doing. This is it. And you could tell he enjoyed it. It was like, right, like it was like, this is like I love that. I love that about the manga. Right, and he was going for he was working towards his dreams. And so good, so good. And that was important for me to read that manga because it introduced me to other stuff. Like it really introduced me to other to want to read other stuff that was similar. It like, I mean, I was like, I gotta look for other music manga. I gotta look for other music anime. I have to find stuff because music, manga and anime tend to do particular things in a certain way that I really love, and like that kind of introduced me to reading like josei stuff, seinen stuff, like, you know, stories that were about relationships and friendships and stuff like that, and like to this day, that was like a super. It might be one of the most impactful manga, if not the most impactful manga that I've ever read. And that's why I always suggest it to people. I always suggest like Piano no Mori to people. It's really important. It does certain things that I love. It zeroes in on particular things that I think are important. And Kai is just like a breath of fresh air. Just a breath of fresh air. That's all that I can call Kai Ichinose, a breath of fresh air. Awesome character. One of my top. If I had to pick top 5 characters in manga, he's like number 1. He's like number 1, and then Emma's like 1A. Because Kai like means too much to me. Emma's like, but Emma's 1A because Kai is like one of my hearts. You know, so I again, really important for me to read that manga. And to see it through, and to see it scanlated and translated all the way through, and to read that ending and to see Kai like, so good. It's just a great journey. I think it's like 237 chapters. So it's not a super long manga or anything like that. It tells the story that it needs to tell. It does it in a beautiful way. I just love it. I love it to death. And I can't wait for the anime adaptation. That's going to be amazing. I still have to like grab the DVD. It's like a DVD version of like the movie because it came out in a movie, but like I had such a hard time finding a sub version for it. But I'll find it. But it's so good. It's so good. I'm just thinking about seeing like scenes from it, and I'm just like, Piano no Mori, the life of Kai, secret, like, you know, the world of Kai, so good. And it's one of the manga that I always suggest to people. I'm like, please read that. Because people might not have heard of it. Some people have. I think some people like really have, and they love it too. But like, it's great stuff, you know. And I think like anime, you know, I think that's basically kind of where I'm gonna stop with it. I think like in terms of anime and manga, but I think right now, if I'm talking about how it's influenced me now as a 29-year-old adult, going on 30, like I would say that the more sort of manga that I read, the more like it's allowed me to proactively form friendships, to proactively help people, to proactively create a space for people. That's like, oh man, that's a dream, yo. And to be comfortable with myself, you know, like to be like, hey, like some people over there might be like, oh, you're bisexual. That's nah. Oh, nah, you're attracted to men. Like, nah. I'm like, but all this stuff over here that I'm reading says it's totally fine. It's cool. Embrace yourself. Love yourself. Find people that love you. Like, I'm good. Like, I think it's really important. That's why, like, for me, like, I need, like, this space, this channel is built on that. This channel is built on, yo, this is a space for people who don't feel like they can go somewhere else and feel okay and feel safe and feel like they matter and that they're loved, and you know what I mean? That's what the space is for. That's what it's for. All right. So for me, you know, it's also a space for me to grow, for me to learn, to meet new people, to hear, you know, all of these, you know, to hear your stories and everything like that. It's important. You know, so whenever, like, so manga and anime is important. Like, again, it's impacted me because it's allowed me to create this platform. It's allowed me to feel like I matter, to know that I matter, and to continue to grow and to learn more, you know? It's just great stuff. I want to hear other people's stories too. I'm gonna do another stream for this at some point. I'm gonna set it up. I'm gonna set up like a date or whatever, a time and date, and try to have people come into it so that they can actually talk about stuff like that. Because I want to hear your stories. That's really important for me. Like, it's like, you know, you hear my story, you hear all this stuff that I'm talking about, but it's really important for me that I hear what y'all have to say about it. All right, so I'm gonna end the stream here because, you know, I want to catch. I want to get a little bit of cleaning done, because I am off generally this week. But you know, I still want to get a little bit of cleaning done. But I still have to tutor tomorrow, so you know, I want to do that, and then, you know, hang out with my fiance, do all that good stuff, and yeah, and then I'll be back later tonight for the Yona stream. So that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be great. All right, I am the Black Manga Critic. Thank all of y'all for coming out. Shouts out to Shuganma. Shouts out to Gabby. Shouts out to Kyo. Hello. Shouts out to Share the Dank. Shouts out to, yeah. Oh, some Easy Breezy. I mean, all you came through. Thank you for listening. This is a great stream. It allowed me to just really talk about some stuff that I was thinking about that I never really sort of like articulated. And I think I'm gonna do another stream. I'm gonna do another stream, and I'm gonna invite people to just like talk, just like share their stuff, share their stories. You know, because I think that's really important. I think that's really important for that. Again, the space has to be safe for people. I have to make sure that like people feel like they can come to these streams and not like be like chastised for certain things, or bullied, or you know, face bigotry and all these other like disgusting things. You know, it's important. It's really important. Really, 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 really important to me. All right. So thank you all for coming through. You know, if you love this video and you want to see more content like this, let me know, like on Twitter. You know, shoot me a tweet. You shoot me a DM if you already follow, or I follow you. Leave a comment if you want. And come back when you can. All right. I am the Black Manga Critic. Again, thank you all of y'all for coming through, and I'm out.